I'm live. Oh, I'm on call. Mm. Right. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, whether you are joining me live or you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube, I just want to say welcome, everyone. Um, Thank you so much for joining me. I am truly, truly excited that you're here. Um, Thank you so much once again for joining me. I'm truly excited that you're here today. Today marks the beginning of a journey, a safe journey, an open one, and more importantly, an empowering space where we'll have real conversations about the most important relationship in your life, and that's the one with yourself. And of course, how that relationship impacts everybody else that's around you, how it impacts other relationships, whether it's romantic relationship, familiar relationship, professional or social. This platform is called My Relationship and I, which is real talk on love, boundaries, and mental well being. So it's not just a talk show, it's a weekly commitment to your personal growth, to your self awareness, and your emotional well-being. And I promise you that if you take what you learn here and you apply it, you will begin to see real lasting changes in your life and your relationships. So it's important not just to show up, but you also want to be able to take away, important nuggets and tips and apply them. And so this is an introductory session or event. Today, I'm just going to walk us through what you can expect from joining. Now, it's just going to be 20 to 30 minutes on a Thursday afternoon, your lunch time, and it's going to be packed. So you won't just have me, it's not just going to be me. I will be inviting other practitioners to share their expertise with you. So over the next few weeks, we would explore vital topics that that are rarely taught in schools, or topics that are not open discussed in many homes or communities. Now we're going to unpack real life issues, like how to build and sustain a healthy relationship with yourself, because that is important. If you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself, trust me, it's going to impact your relationship with others. Again, whether it's your romantic relationships or your relationships with colleagues at work, um, family, friends. So we would learn how to build and sustain those relationships. We would understand what your core beliefs are and how they shape your worldview. Now, the connection between self worth, confidence, and self esteem will be explored. We will understand how they are formed. We'll also look at the role of attachment styles. Now, these are often rooted in childhood, and they affect our adult relationships. I've had clients come to me who have misdiagnosed themselves after reading something online, self-help books, and because they didn't quite understand the root cause of attachment styles, the problem is they get stuck in cycles that only create even more confusion. So my goal here is to cut through the noise, offer clarity, and share practical experiences, practical evidence-based tools um, that will be drawn from both my professional insight and also lived experiences of the people that I have, worked with. So mental health and relationship education is important. So we're going to touch on critical mental health topics, breaking the stigma, identifying early warning signs, and understanding root causes of mental health issues. Now, according to the World Health Organization, and this is true, and it's a worldwide issue, 1 in 8 people globally live with a mental health condition. 1 in 8. So if we do the stats, we can imagine how many people are actually walking around with one mental health issue or the other. But yet, so many people struggle in silence, especially in relationships where emotional well being plays a central role, right? And you just want to ask yourself, am I one of those people? Am I actually suffering in silence, right? Am I doing anything about it? So, we'll talk about prevention strategies. How can we spot red flags? Now, I know there's a whole lot of talk, on red flags, but how about the green flags? How can I identify the green ones, and a lot more? So you will hear stories that you won't find easily online or, on AI, because they come from real people navigating real challenges. And I think that's important because it would help you to relate to them and see what they've done that can help you. You would listen to practitioners who work with people on a day-to-day basis like myself, and listen to the tips that they share in therapy and how it helps and supports them. Right. So now, whether you are a person of faith like myself, or or not, there are universal relationship principles that go beyond culture or even faith. Now, unfortunately, many of these aren't taught in our traditional education system. For example, some of the things that are important, they are really important if you are in a relationship or you're thinking of going into a relationship. There are some aspects that must be present. Communication is one of them. Most people never learn how not to communicate, right? And that's where the damage begins. We must understand how we shouldn't, not just how we should, but what are the things that we should not do when we're communicating. The other point that we would also learn is respect. That is important in relationships, whether platonic or otherwise. Respect and transparency. Now, you can't go into a romantic relationship thinking long term and not be transparent and hold things back. Some people have been told, oh, you don't spread everything, you don't tell, because it would make people run away. If they don't know now from you, trust me, they would find out later from somebody else. And then what happens to the bedrock of trust? Shattered. So trust and as well respect and transparency are foundational and not optional. Understanding personality difference in relationship is also important. Some problems in relationship are perpetual. It means that they never will be solved, while others are solvable. Understanding the difference between perpetual problems and the ones that are solvable is important, because when you understand the ones that are perpetual, it helps you to understand the level and degree of control you have and how you can pour your energy into the ones that are solvable. But that's just kind of like the tip of the iceberg. There's just a whole lot more that we would be exploring together. Trust, like I said, is earned. You can't ask somebody to trust you without demonstrating that you can be trusted. Yes, so trust is important. Conflict management. Conflict management studies have shown that 50 to 60% of divorce are due to what we call irreconcilable differences. And that's that. So if you go out there, you search online, most 50%, that's like half. And there are lots of other reasons why that people cite for divorce, but half and more is due to irreconcilable differences. And in many cases, that's the core, isn't the issue, isn't incompatibility, it's communication breakdown and unaddressed emotional wounds. Opposites do attract. Yes, opposites do attract. But if we don't know how to manage those differences, they can pull us apart and instead of drawing us together, right? So that's something that we must understand. Why does this matter? Why should you stay consistent? You must commit to joining me every week for just 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. Think of it as your relationship MOT, your weekly check-in, your tune-in, your moment to pause and reflect. And the same way we service our cars. I mean, I was actually speaking with a client just yesterday. And she was like, oh, she keeps going, going, going. And oftentimes she finds that she suffers from burnout. She suffers from depression. And she's said to herself over and again that she won't take work home, but she finds that she works on Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday she was working as well. And then she said something very interesting. I used to be able to do this when I was a whole lot younger. I don't know what's happening. Is it because I'm getting old? And the analogy came to my mind of a car. When we buy a brand new car, the effectiveness is second to none. You can go on the motorway and travel and drive for hours on end, and the feel of the car, the drive of the car is just so awesome and powerful. However, if you continue to run the car and go maybe 400 miles on this trip and another trip 200 miles, and you're doing that consistently, there's going to be wear and tear in the car, right? So the tires would need replacing, and a whole lot more that you need to make sure that the engine oil is there, the fuel gauge, everything has to be top notch for the car to continue to, for you to be able to optimize the car. Why don't we do that with ourselves? So we need to pause and stop and look after ourselves. And that's what this 20 to 30 minutes a week can do for you. Our emotional and relational lives need consistent attention to. Yeah. So if you are asking the question, is it worth my time? I invite you to try it out because you are worth that time, you know. So next week, next Thursday, I'm going to ask you to set a recurring time in your calendar, 12 noon. If you are based in the UK, at the moment, if you're based in West Africa, 12 noon. If you're based in other countries like Germany, it will be your 1 p.m. And make it a date with me. Understanding your core beliefs is what we're going to be looking at. How to change your negative self-talk. And that is just so interesting. Why? Because words are powerful, not just words that people tell you or that you hear from other people, your internal script that runs in your mind. What are the self-talk that you have? We can look all nice and confident on the outside, but what actually goes on in the inside? What are the things that you believe about yourself? How can you change negative self-talk? Recognize that you're actually having those negative self-talk is going to be a game changer. So the session is going to help you uncover hidden narratives that might be shaping how you see yourself and others and give you practical tools to shift them in a healthier direction. So today's session is really brief and short. It's just an intro to help you to understand what exactly you will be giving up your time for. In fact, you're not giving up your time. You are investing your time. So I'm going to leave you with this today. Healthy relationships don't just happen. They are built, and they are built by people who are willing to do the work. So are you that person who is willing to do the work? You're here, which means that you're already doing that work, and that's something to be proud of. So may I ask that you invite somebody that you care about, invite them to join next week, and until then, stay kind to yourself, stay open, and remember, thriving relationships always start within. So thank you and have a great weekend. See you again next week.